Welcome back, beekeepers. We are going to do a follow-up video on the video I just did about William Brock and Lolitha Hall. This is the Trilogy Media video that I told you about that I watched, and we're going to go through it together. We're going to have to skip through it a little bit just so I don't get copyrighted. Please don't copyright me, Trilogy Media. So I just wanted to give a bigger perspective because he makes great points. He is definitely talking more of the, I'm only like 20 minutes in, and I thought, we should talk about this a little bit more. He makes a lot of points, but he's clearly explaining how Lolitha was never even part of the scam. She was just doing her job, which I completely agree with. And even shows you how easy it is for these scammers to do the Uber orders for the packages to be transferred, which it's BS how easy that these scammers can get away with this. So I just wanted to spread awareness, and one way to do that is to watch this video. He does cuss, he does have a little bit of fun, but I'm all for it. So I'm going to be here. We're going to have to pause it quite a bit just so I can get away from being copyrighted, because there's the fair use agreement. I can use this as long as I add input to it. So that's what we're going to do.
An absolute disaster.
Yes, it was a disaster.
Guys, this is going to be a very different kind of video than you're used to from us. We spend a
just to point out, he does show the video of the confrontation between Hall and Brock. So just keep in mind that that is something that is going to come up.
Tremendous amount of time immersing ourselves into topics and realities that are morbid, sad, or disturbing. But in just about every instance, we're able to inject a fair bit of jest so we don't all go into a depression. But this time, I don't think that's going to be possible. This isn't a scam bait. This isn't a cash mule sting operation.
He's going to explain exactly what the scam is. Don't get mad at me for keep pausing. I have to, okay? I have to in order to use this. But he's going to explain the scam even better to you, so I wanted to reference that back to my last video.
This is a real-world tragedy, a murder brought on by the same insufferable roaches that birth those scam phone calls that we spend every single day working to expose. Now, this story actually broke a couple of weeks ago, and no less than 69,000 of you emailed it to us asking if we were going to comment or make a video about it. So here we are. And don't worry, if you haven't heard what happened yet, I'm going to explain it right now in explicit detail. I'm also going to share with you some of my additional findings and offer a perspective as one of the few that are actually confronting scammer cash mule.
If you don't watch them, they have a lot of videos where it's, like he said, he has a lot of humor in it. It makes it a little bit lighter of a situation. But they do have money mules come to them. They set up stings, and they have money mules come to them that are contacted by the scammers. And they basically scare them out of doing their job and confront them about it. Cops are called every once in a while, but of course there's no real victim, so the cops don't do anything. But I'm grateful that we have people out there like them who are bringing awareness, and they are making these mules realize that, you know what, you can go to jail for this. And so they are goofy. That's why you're going to see the tall guy Art, he's going to be dressed up as a nun, and he's dressed as Santa a little bit ago. That's what this is about.
On a regular basis. And before we go any further, I'm going to warn you that the story you're about to hear and the footage you're about to see are disturbing. South Charleston, Ohio. This is William Brock, an 81-year-old man who was the victim of an impersonation phone scam. The ones where they call victims and tell them that one of their family members is in trouble. They're usually impersonating some kind of law enforcement authority, and they demand some type of bail money or ransom in order to return said family member home safely. William Brock fell into the scammers' trap and was prepared to box up the $12,000 that the scammers were demanding at the threat of hurting his family. But somewhere along the way, William either decided that he wasn't going to take any more shit, or realized that it was all horseshit and inevitably went batshit. But as far as the scammers were concerned, William had a box of $12,000 in cash that was ready to be picked up.
Now, what's something I always say, beekeepers? Doesn't that seem a little odd? Doesn't it seem that a little odd that you have to pay in cash, and they probably told him to wrap it up in a book and put the book in with some foil and then put it in a box and put a lot of things around the box and then put duct tape around the box? Does that sound legit? Does that seriously sound legit to anybody who has a clear mind? Now let's give William 2% benefit of the doubt, right? Because the more I think about this, because in my last video, I feel like I was a little lenient on William and the fact that he felt like he was being scammed. The ultimate is he made a choice, and it's clear that he made the choice long before they even showed up, that that's what he was going to do, is shoot her or whoever showed up. He made that choice because he had the gun out before she even got to the door. You're 81 years old. You might have some mental inconnectivity or something, but you didn't make a phone call to anybody. We find out, I thought it was his grandson. It was his nephew. You never called anyone, said, hey, I heard that Billy Bob is in jail. Is this true? No one? No one. But you know this nephew enough to bail them out? So you can't tell me there's no connections there, that he can't talk to somebody.
At his home. Now this is Lolitha Hall. She's a 61-year-old Uber driver who received an Uber request for a package pickup service. Through Uber. This is a feature of Uber. They're not just for awkward backseat car rides and late-night couscous delivery. But we're going to talk about that more in a minute. So the scammers are telling William Brock that one of their associates, presumably to him, a kidnapper or at least a thief, will be arriving at his house shortly to pick up the money that they're trying to steal from him. And the scammers are also telling Lolitha via Uber that she's on her way to a house to do a routine courier pickup and drop off. What could go wrong? On March 25th, 2024, just after 11 a.m. local time, Lolitha Hall arrives to William Brock.
Okay, so this is the trigger warning. He is going to show it, and you're going to see that she's met first thing with a gun. Okay, so he doesn't even like say, are you here for my package or anything like that, and he just goes straight out and then shoots the poor lady.
Brock's house in South Charleston.
So trigger warning. I got a phone call, big surprise. So I just want to get back to the trigger warning.
In Ohio, William Brock greets her at gunpoint, charges at her, and despite her non-threatening pleas of innocence, he shoots her 3 times to her death. Viewer discretion is advised.
Come on, get out! Help! Sir! Yeah. I'm here to pick up a package. Yes, I know what you're after. You're after the... Help!
Seriously, dude? She's backing away from you. Backing away! She is not a threat to you. And I don't care what the Ohio law says about stand your ground. That's bull. She is backing away from you. She's not a threat. She's not threatening you. No matter what you say that they were telling you on the phone that she was threatening you, and it sounds like you were talking to a man, but then you changed it that the lady on the phone was threatening you. Maybe they were switching you back and forth, because they do that. She is not threatening you one bit. She is there to pick up a freaking box, and you kill her for it. She's trying to leave. He's a piece of shit. I'll shoot you in the head. See, this is when I lose all compassion for this man. I don't care anymore. I know in my other videos, like, well, he is a victim and she's also a victim of him. No. You deserve 15 to life, man. She's not threatening you one bit. You didn't even ask about your nephew that you love so much that you're going to kill for. You didn't ask anything. You didn't say anything. You're just shooting someone because you can. And clearly you had the idea and made the decision to shoot her long before it was even possible, before she was even there. You already made that decision. I have a lot I want to say, but I'm trying to be very kind for my YouTube channel viewers. You can read in between the lines of what I want to say to this man. He shot her how many times, and now he's asking, who do you work for? How about you asked her when she first got there, who do you work for? Don't shoot her and then ask.
I have so many questions. I don't even know where the to start. Here's a good place. This guy. Sorry, not sorry. Now don't get me wrong, I have immense sympathy for scam victims. My entire business is consumed with this topic. But this murder was as unnecessary as an ejector seat in a helicopter. I don't care what the mitigating factors were surrounding this moment. In the moment, this woman posed absolutely zero.
Walking away. She has her back turned and she has her hand. You know where her hands are. You can see that she doesn't have any weapons. There's not even a package. Where is this package at? Did you even have intentions of giving the package? And if so, what was your goal with this? Because clearly you weren't going to give them the money anyway, so you probably knew that something was up. Sorry, I'm just mad. I can feel the heat on my face. I am that mad.
Physical threat to William. What the f***? Now, I'm no lawyer, and I have no interest in preaching politics on this channel. It ain't gonna happen. But for those that don't know, the state of Ohio imposes what's called the Stand Your Ground law, which in short means that a person using force in self-defense, defense of another, or defense of that person's residence, and had reasonable belief that the force was necessary to prevent injury, loss, or risk of life or safety, has no obligation to retreat away from the alleged perpetrator prior to executing said force. In simpler words, if you're being threatened by an intruder, you're not required to go run and hide prior to taking action, even if that action is deadly. Now, this is contrary.
Now, I live in Ohio. You all know that. So, I've not been very secret about that part of my life. So, this law is great for me when someone breaks into my home and is threatening me. That's great. Somebody's robbing my house, somebody has a gun to me, I can shoot them. I don't have to wait for them to hurt me first, basically. What was she doing? Now, I understand that on the phone they threatened him, and he felt threatened that way, or he felt that his nephew's life was threatened, but where in that moment was he being threatened by her? Where in that moment? Why is that? Now, he's in jail. He's on bond. But if they try to use that in court, I'm going to lose my mind.
To some other states that impose what's called a duty to retreat law, which basically means that you're not allowed to protect your home with deadly force if a jury can prove that you could have avoided said conflict by retreating somewhere safe. I don't comment on politics. But for this story, none of this matters. William Brock had nothing to retreat from. There was no threat. He's not even in the house. I believe he came out of that house with the explicit, unwavering intent to harm her. Because no matter what she said to him, it didn't matter. The gun was already cocked, and he pulled the trigger anyway. If anyone's retreating here, it's poor Lolitha. I don't care how distraught you are about the surrounding circumstances of a scam or otherwise. This entire scam narrative is actually a completely secondary issue to this murder. Put the scam aside for a second. Let's assume you're Art, and you've got a pimple-faced, unarmed teenager trying to be a porch pirate and steal your matcha enemas or weekly salad supply or whatever the he buys. Would Art confront the porch pirate? Yeah. Would he choke him? I can neither confirm nor deny. Would he viciously murder him in cold blood while he's trying to escape off the property? Absolutely not. William Brock was in a distressed, terrible, frightening situation. But for me, that doesn't excuse this, even in the slightest. William, you handled everything about this situation perfectly wrong. It couldn't be any more up if Tarantino wrote it. Let's break it down. Up 1. You intentionally engaged in conversations with scammers. Now, unless you're a trained professional like us, you shouldn't be doing that. And yes, I get that he probably didn't know that
That looked very professional, guys.
They were scammers at first, but at some point before the murder, he figured out something was awry. So why did you keep talking to them? Why didn't you call the police? Why didn't you call anyone else in your family? The scammers said your nephew was the one in trouble. Why didn't you call the nephew? He could have been at Dave & Buster's for f***'s sake. Why didn't you call literally anyone else close to you in your 81 years of life to verify this before deciding to maul an innocent woman with a gun? Cocked. The scammer said that they were going to harm your family, but you didn't bother to talk to anyone in your family? You took all of this as fact from the onset, a mistake that usually just leads to financial loss.
If we're gonna be picky, it's the same point twice, but
In these scams.
I had to pause it so I don't get claimed.
But this time, it was a loss of life. This same exact scam happened to my grandmother back when she was around. She got a call from people claiming to be law enforcement in Mexico.
Now listen to this. This is what you should do if you get this call.
Saying that me, her grandson, and they knew my name, was in trouble and arrested for drunk driving and needed bail money. They told her that I instructed them to call her instead of my parents because of my fear of their disapproval. They played on her heartstrings, but thank God she called my aunt right away for guidance, who was able to then verify my safe whereabouts by sending me a quick text message. That's all it took. F up too. You came out aggressively with your gun in your hand, loaded, and cocked. You don't do that unless you're preparing to kill someone. We've had guns pulled on a...
And then you see how, I'm going to say lazily, he only has it held with one hand. Now if you're going to properly shoot and you're going to support yourself, you're going to support it with your other hand. He just has it out like he's some guy at the rodeo or something like that, the Western movie where he just got the gun out, like he's in control and he knows it. You can see in that video, he's in control and he knows it and he's going to keep it that way. There is not a single point in this conversation or interaction that shows that he does not have control the entire time.
Many times. And in most cases, if somebody is trying to push forth an intimidation tactic, the mere presence of a gun, either visually or done by immediate direct threat, is enough to change the social dynamic in a nanosecond. For both of these guys, it was likely just an intimidation tactic. We didn't approach with any kind of physical or verbal threat. We were just there to ask questions, hence why none of us had to stare down a loaded barrel. The only time I've actually had a gun pointed at my face was when I was robbed at gunpoint while working at Blockbuster in 2012. A much different situation that chances are wouldn't have ended fatally, but I certainly wasn't willing to risk it for $9 an hour. And by the look in the robber's eyes, I could tell that his freedom was more important to him than my life, so I just let him have whatever the hell he wanted and we both went on our jolly ways.
Blockbuster. Story time. I've had this happen to me too. As a funeral director apprentice, I was sent to someone's house to return cremated remains to someone. And they lived in a nice town. And this, where I did my apprenticeship, it was like this uppity area where everyone's all flamboyant about their money situations and how we have money and we're rich and we don't do things with poor people. That was basically the area. And so as the apprentice, I'm sent over to this house to drop off these cremated remains. Already a little weird, but okay. I'm told by the funeral director that I'm helping that day that she'll call them and let them know that I'm coming. Okay, great. I get there. They answer the door with a gun. Literally a gun to my face like this. And they think that I'm there to sell them something. I don't know what they're trying to I don't know who's selling things to them on a daily basis if they answer the door with a gun. But people like you, chill out. Literally, I had to call the funeral home to prove I was with the funeral home. Even though I had mom in my hands, cremated mom in my hands, and a box with her name on it, they still didn't believe me until I called the funeral home. I could have got shot over delivering cremated remains to somebody. I brought your mom back to you and you greet me with a gun. That was great of you. Thank you very much. And that had nothing to do with grief. That had something about control and having issues, personal issues. So if you're watching this ever, and you did this to anybody, figure out what's wrong with your life and fix it. I almost got shot over cremated remains because you thought I was trying to sell you something. People are insane. And that was 9 years ago, and it's getting worse. Situations like this, it's getting worse. That's why I refuse to go to homes.
William Brock was arrested on April 10th, 2024, and is now facing a murder charge with a potential sentence of anywhere from 15 years to life in prison and a $15,000 fine. William Brock pled not guilty to the charge. He was held on $200,000.
So I'm guessing he's saying not guilty because he's trying to do the freedom to protect, arms, no back down, blah, 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 BS stuff. Is that what he's probably trying to say, that he's not guilty because he did that? Might as well just say a reason of sanity.
Bail, and he posted bond and was released the next day. Now, if this wasn't upsetting enough to you already, be grateful you're not in my head. Here is a myriad of not fun facts and unanswered questions that have been swirling around my head since the day I heard about this. First of all, everywhere in the news they keep referring to this as two parties that were targeted by scammers. But this isn't really accurate.
And I'm at fault for this too. I said in my video, I'm pretty sure, I didn't watch it back before I did this video, but I'm pretty sure I made it sound like they are both victims of the scam, and they are not. Only Brock, Mr. Brock, is a victim of the scam. Miss Hall, is the person who is just at the wrong place at the wrong time. She's doing her job. The scammers made an account with Uber to order the box to be picked up and shipped somewhere else, which I found out they take it directly from point A to point B. There's no, like, taken to the carrier or anything like that. It is, like, literally there, the carrier, which, how is that, like, smart or legal? I feel like that's an opportunity for this kind of stuff to happen even more. But whatever. I feel like it's encouraging it. But she's literally doing her job for Uber. She is not involved in this scam at all, other than the fact that she is the one that took the call and went to this guy's house. That's the only connection she has with this entire thing, is she went to the wrong house at the wrong time.
Letha was not a scam victim, and she was not a cash mule. She had zero involvement or connection to these scammers.
She didn't know what was in the package, and she didn't care.
Was an Uber driver. Full stop. I find it a bit annoying when people attribute this tragedy to the insinuated negligence or gullibility of both parties.
Both of these two people, these two strangers, were part of this larger scam.
They were both unknowingly targeted by scammers.
Two people ensnared by a scammer.
Both were being targeted by a scam call.
They say she was scammed into going there to pick up a package.
They were both unwittingly victims of a phone scam.
Both victims.
Both.
You may want your mouth.
A cash mule, by and large, is somebody that's instructed to move cash or a package unknown to them from one place to another. In other words, acting as a courier or transportation method that they normally would not be. Now, we've seen the...
And they most likely know that it's a scam. There's a lot of people that don't know, like they do use like older people or people who are not fully aware of what's going on. And they will use them as mules, and they don't even know what they're doing. But it's pretty easy to see that something is wrong, okay? And so this is when you actually have to use your brain. And sometimes the scammers even say, don't be smart, don't use your brain. When someone tells you to stop using your brain, maybe you should start using it a little bit more.
Full wide spectrum of this setup in our many dozens of scammer confrontations that we've done over the years. Sometimes the cash mule is a victim, someone who's also under the scammer's ruse, receiving packages and moving money with the hopes that the scammer is going to fulfill his promises. Those promises usually include future payouts, future lost money recovery, and or securing their computer or financial assets due to the presence of alleged hackers. Whether they're losing money, moving money, or both, these types of cash mules are just as much a victim as all the others. On the other side of that spectrum, you've got the lying, guilty bastards that know exactly what they're doing. They verbally confirm that they're representing the company that they're impersonating, they lie through their teeth at every turn, and will do whatever it takes to avoid confrontation and exposure. But that doesn't usually go too well for them. Especially f***ing Jack, whom we've since found out from an anonymous source that Jack is in a whole world of trouble, and this was definitely not his first time doing what he knew damn well was illegal. And we've seen everything in between. These scammers are crooks and thieves first, but they're professional social engineers second, and they will do whatever it takes to manipulate everyone that their scheme comes in contact with.
They're very good at manipulation. Very, very good. They'll say whatever they have to say. They'll do whatever they have to do. They will sing you a song if that means that they will get what they want. Ask Kit Boga. He gets them to sing and do weird stuff all the time because they're that desperate for this money. They'll do whatever they have to do.
That's to say that perhaps the most heartbreaking element of this entire story, Lolitha was none of those things. She was instructed through Uber as a paid contractor for that company to facilitate a package pickup. That's it. And that is a legitimate service that Uber offers. And for all intents and purposes, there was a package to be picked up. We hear this story around the country as a tragic but very rare ending to something that's more common than most people realize. Assuming William Brock never got wise to the scam and continued fulfilling the scammer's demands, like millions of victims do every single year, then Lolitha would have had an actual package to pick up and deliver. She did absolutely nothing wrong. She wasn't manipulated. She didn't fall for a ruse. She wasn't taken advantage of. She would.
And I really hope that it is being stressed anywhere that this is being talked about, that she is not a victim of the scam. She's not involved in the scam, and she did nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong. She did everything that she was supposed to do for her job, and she did not do a single thing wrong, and this man killed her in cold blood. I hope that that is stressed every single place that talks about this.
Literally doing her job. A job very much within the confines of Uber's terms of service as far as her duties are concerned. A job she would have been paid for, and rightfully so. She wasn't targeted by scammers. She was used by scammers to do what she already does every single day. Any loss of life is a tragedy, obviously, but this hits so much harder when it involves someone like Lolitha, whose only mistake was simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time. A complete random act of evil that will leave lasting impacts on her family for the rest of their lives.
Is that how the scam was supposed to end, with this casket right here and this family?
And this brings me to my next thought. Why the does this anonymous package pickup drop-off feature in the Uber app even exist? Like, what the Like, what?
He's gonna show you how easy it is to... Sorry, I'm watching this man walk his baby in the stroller, and we can argue he's not even walking the baby because he has a skateboard, so he's skateboarding and holding the baby stroller in front of him. Oh, sorry, that was a distraction that I enjoyed.
Scammers used to use the mail.
Sorry. Distraction. He's going to show you how easy it is for a scammer to sign up to use this feature. And he's going to tell you right now that the reason why they're going to Uber, because Uber makes it a lot easier, and people are unaware of it. So let's bring awareness of that in our channel today, beekeepers, that Uber can also use shipping, which I didn't know till today, and Uber is making it a lot easier for these scams to take place. So be aware of Uber transfers as a possibility for a scam as well. It's not always just FedEx.
A lot more frequently, like UPS and FedEx, but after a lot of exposure on that started exploding, they shifted to more common in-person pickups with local accomplices. But then after that method started becoming unreliable, now they're resorting to utilizing legal loopholes in big tech companies to exploit innocent people that should have absolutely nothing to do with this. If I want to ship something valuable through UPS or FedEx, or let's even just say for gits and shiggles that I'm trying to mail a boatload of cash to someone discreetly, I still have to fill out forms, I have to put a return address, show my ID, I have to link my identity to this property in some form or fashion, and hence linking the recipient's identity on the other end. And I'm not naive to think that people don't use the mail to send sketchy shit, I'm sure it happens every day. But at least in this case, there's some form of protection by association for the delivery employees. They wear uniforms, they've got company trucks. It's visually and conceptually obvious that they're not culpable in any kind of negligence or accountability when it comes to any illicit materials that may be inside these packages. Uber drivers, on the other hand, are just civilians in their cars. So what the is this? If I'm an Uber driver who's an independent contractor with no official badge or corporate identification, only minimum car insurance is required by law, and now I'm expected to go to any random sketchy house, pick up a package that has God knows what in it, and transport it to another even more sketchy house without asking any questions? I'm pretty sure they made an action movie trilogy about how ridiculous and dangerous this is.
They did. We're not gonna watch it. But, wow. And the fact that people are okay with this is just weird to me. Like, people got to do what they got to do for money, I know, but wow. Do not go to random people's houses. Just don't, especially when it's Uber's weird to begin with. I mean, I guess it's nice. I've never used it, but Uber's just strange to begin with, that you're going to get in the car with somebody that you don't even know who they are. I'm going to probably get kidnapped, okay? That's my luck. I picked the wrong Uber. I'm sure of it. So they'll return me in like 4 seconds because I'm annoying. But, wow. No, thank you. Okay, so now he's going to show you that this has happened before. And it's been like just a week or two before this happened. And can I just point out again, it's in Ohio? What is happening in Ohio? What is wrong with us, Ohio? Are we okay? Like, what is wrong with us? So, if you're in Ohio, clearly this scam with using Uber is a big thing. So be aware of that. Apparently it's a big Ohio thing with scammers. And I'm sure it's everywhere else too, but Ohio's getting hit hard with this for some reason.
And although Lolitha's death is the most tragic version of this story, this is not an isolated incident. A similar confrontation happened just a few weeks ago with a different Uber driver. Thankfully, it didn't end in murder, but the circumstance was almost identical. Watch this shit.
2 days before that incident, he received messages from a passenger asking him to stop on the way to pick up documents.
How you doing?
Good. Come on out. Right now.
All right.
Don't get out.
Get out of there.
What?
Get out. Come on out.
The man claimed Young was there to pick up $5,000 to get his grandson out of jail in Cleveland.
Not to mention, let's go to the Uber app right now and see how easy it is for me to orchestrate a cash package.
Once again, why do they always assume it's the person picking up the money? I guess it's like your first interaction with someone that's physical, like physically there, your first interaction. But does no one talk to anybody ever? Like, even call the police station, be like, hey, I understand you have my grandson there. No one does this crap. Call the Cleveland Police Department. They get calls all the time. It's crazy in Cleveland, I'm sure. The parts of Cleveland I've been to were pretty crazy. No one talks to anybody. Jeez. Now, he's going to show you how easy it is for these scammers to get this package thing rolling.
Pickup without including any identifying information about myself. I'll even start by signing up for a brand new account. This is a screen recording of me doing exactly that, from scratch. Now let's say I'm a scammer and I want no trace back to myself. First question, enter a phone number. Well, I am a scam baiter, so I have VoIP numbers coming out my asshole. Imagine how many VoIP numbers scammers have. For those that don't know, a VoIP number, or Voice over Internet Protocol number, is basically a virtual phone number. You use it like a regular phone number, except VoIP numbers facilitate phone calls using an internet connection. So there's no data provider, there's no connection to my personal info, and even by doing a deep scan of one of my most used VoIP numbers, my real name and even my scam bait character names are nowhere to be found as traceable to this number. And
I also want to say, hasn't it been proven that it's literally easy to become an Uber driver as well? And like, you could have like a murderer driving around and Uber doesn't even know it. Like, I think that was more of a big thing when Uber started, but isn't it still a thing where literally as long as you have the insurance that they require, the minimum insurance and a driver's license, you can just work for Uber? That's scary.
this particular app, Text Now, I pay a couple bucks a week and it includes all the same features of a regular cell phone number up to and including two-factor authentication, as Uber is facilitating right now. Big shocker, it worked. Now we enter an email, and this could be literally anything. You could open a brand new Gmail right now and use that. Nothing's linked to you. I'll just put Mortimer's email in here for right now. That works too. Didn't even have
Mortimer's not even a real person. Mortimer is a character he plays as an old man. So this person's email, this isn't even a real person.
to verify that one. What's even scarier is I could have put literally anyone else's email there. Enter the first and last name. I can put literally anything. No check, no ID upload. This is insanity. As long as I accept them terms of service, I'm good to go. So once we're in the app, right after rides and scooter rentals, which I am still fond of, We have an option here for package. I've got options to send a package, return a package, or receive a package, all of which will be performed discreetly by a random Uber driver who just happens to be signed in to work. If I'm a scammer, I'm gonna want to receive a package. So what does it need? The pickup location and the drop-off location. And I can put anything in here. I'm given options for Ubers that are as little as 3 minutes away to pick up my goods from Banana Bungalow in Los Angeles and promptly deliver it straight to my house across town for 26 bucks. All I gotta do is add a payment method and I'm confirmed. Holy shady shitballs. So now knowing all
I'm surprised that the scammer is willing to put forth the $26.
this, take a listen to Uber's statement that they made about this incident.
We reached out to Uber and they responded with this statement saying in part, quote, "There is no other way to describe this incident than a horrific tragedy." Uber also went on to say the account of the individual who ordered the Uber trip has been banned.
They've banned.
Great job, Uber, you banned. Woo! It took them 4 seconds to put that together, but you taught them a lesson, Uber. You got them banned off of your stuff. Woo! They'll never use you again. Woo! And a lawyer wrote that.
The account. You mean kind of like the account I just made in 3 minutes using fake information? It's like banning a VoIP phone number or reporting a fake scammer's name. Doesn't do shit. In this case, they trace the VoIP number to Canada, but unless they want to go moose riding, it's going to be a complete waste of time to pursue that. Literally anyone can get a VoIP number for free, and in many cases, you can even pick the locale. Google Voice is a perfect example. Pick a city, any city. Now, I'm not bagging on it because I use it myself, but every effective tool will have good uses and evil ones. And at the end of the day, the scammers have already planned for this, as we explained in our interview with TMZ just earlier this week.
I'm not going to show you the TMZ interview. Feel free to check out their channel and watch the whole video. Obviously, this video is 45 minutes long, and I don't want to keep you guys here because we're already a 36-minute video and they're 20 minutes in their video because I have to add to it to make it legit, guys. So watch this on their video, give them a thumbs up, give them the view.
Another problem I have that no one is asking, where was that package supposed to be dropped off? Now I'm gonna hold on to hope that somebody in this investigation has thought of this and is looking into it, but as I just showed you, the pickup location as well as the drop-off location have to be input before the service can be quoted and ordered. That drop-off location should have been the very next stop for these cops. At least that's what I would have done. And if you've watched any of our videos, you can understand why we can never assume what we're gonna run into when we pursue these confrontations. We research the most, hope for the best, and prepare for the worst. But in this particular case of Lolitha, at least with my experience, you'd have a very high chance of encountering someone that's even deeper involved in this scam by visiting that delivery address, because it was supposed to be cash in the box. And considering they were using Lolitha, not a cash mule, a civilian, having zero involvement in the scam, they're not gonna have her do all the necessary errands of opening the box, going to a Bitcoin machine, yada 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 like they usually do. They only do.
Yeah, so a mule will be literally instructed to go get the package. Probably they barely let them get in their car and they have them open it and tell them exactly what's in it. Tell them how much cash is in it. They have them count it. Probably make a video, send pictures. So that's what a normal cash mule would do. And like he says, since she's not a cash mule, they're going to want to get that from point A to point B fast because they want that money and they need to make sure they have it.
With trusted accomplices or heavily vetted victims, of which Lolitha is neither. With this being Lolitha's first and only involvement with this particular theft, if I'm thinking like the
breaks my heart every time I see her
scammer, I want to get that box away from her as soon as possible and into the hands of someone that's trained to wash the cash and beam it out overseas. Why is nobody asking this question? Am I missing something?
I even started to notice.
A very similar scam we deal with often on this channel is the PCH scam, or the Publishers Clearinghouse scam, where they tell the victim that they've won a drawing or a lottery and they just have to pay the registration fees or taxes first before receiving their payout. Different roadmap leading to the steal, but lots of crossover in the methods used to get the cash out of the victim's hands. Last year...
Yeah, so they're going to show you, as you can see, there's a guy. That is actually the guy on the screen that was talking, that him dressed up as an old man and he's pretending he's dead. And the guy is coming to get his money for the Publishing Clearinghouse scam. He's mostly getting to the point that an Uber comes to get the money that time as well.
We did this video where we staged a fake funeral prank and baited scammers to our house to pick up what they thought was hundreds of thousands of dollars. Same scam, same pretend victim, but a very wide variance in the types of mules that showed up. On the scarier side, we had what appeared to be a group of organized crime bosses surrounding the house, scoping it out for hours before approaching the door. And
That video was creepy. The way that they were just, it kind of reminded me of like a child predator who like scopes out the house, the sting house before they get to catch a predator on the show, because they literally were just driving around this house, looking at it, taking pictures of it, checking it out. It was weird.
And subsequently running away like little bitches when we confronted them about it. The sprinting bearded nun might have had something to do with that. And on the lighter side, we had a completely innocent taxi driver who, just like Lolitha, was responding to a legitimate service call to pick up a package from an elderly man. He had no idea what it was for. It wasn't his concern. He was being paid to make the pickup and transport the box as per his company's service agreement. That's it. And he proved this to us by showing us the actual order on his company car computer. And you won't believe this, but there is another thing that bothers me about this story: the inconsistent reporting of the nature of the actual scam. William received a call about his nephew being in trouble. Very common tactic. In some reports, they're saying that the scammers were portraying cops demanding bail money.
Police say it all started when Brock received multiple calls from scammers who told him a relative had been arrested and demanded.
If this happens to you, hang up. Call the actual police department that they're claiming to be a part of. If they probably won't even say what police department they're part of. They're probably saying, I'm officer so-and-so, my badge number's blah, 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 which they never even tell you in the real world. Like, how many times have you called the police station and like, this is Officer Derek Moores and my badge number's blah, 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 blah. They don't do that. I don't know why the scammers think that they need to do that, but I don't know why people think that it's normal for them to tell you. It's weird. Why? I'm glad that they think they have to do that, but why do we think that that's something they should do too? Hang up the phone and call the real place. It's not hard. Now, you're probably not thinking straight, but this is when you really need to. This is when you really got to use your brain.
$12,000 for bail.
And we need X amount of money to let your grandson out of jail right now. We can come over and pick it up.
One of his relatives was in jail and needed money to post bail.
His nephew was in jail, and Brock needed to take out 12.
Now, see, like I said grandson in my first video, but it's his nephew. So now they're going back and forth. Grandson, nephew, grandson, nephew, grandson. Which one is it? Like, there seems to be already inconsistencies even in, like, the reporting. Does anyone know what's happening here?
$1,000 in cash in order to bail his nephew out.
And in others, they're saying that the scammers were being thugs demanding a ransom.
And he was telling me he was going to kill me and the family and everybody else around.
The scammers starting to threaten his life and also threaten his nephew's life.
He said he had been threatened all day over the phone, and the person on the other line said that she was coming to kill Brock.
Well, which one is it? Bail money or ransom? Ransom implies a kidnapping, which doesn't sync up with the bail money story. Now, I know scammers can be stupid and they tend to change their stories all the time, but this is a really important distinction. If Brock thought he was making a payment for bail money to law enforcement, then why the f did he answer the door with a gun?
Brock allegedly had a gun. This video appears to confirm that.
Yeah, no shit. If the scammers were portraying law enforcement, that completely contradicts his claim about the scammers threatening to kill his family. Furthermore, even if the scammers were threatening to hurt his family, I find it really hard to believe that the scammers would make the claim that it would be the pickup person that would be harming the family.
So I was threatened that she was going to come and kill me.
Take my word for it, these scammers want these...
Does she look like she's gonna kill you, dude? She has her phone, maybe in her hand, and it looked like sunglasses. What is she gonna do to you?
Package transfers to be as discreet, orchestrated, and monitored as possible. There is no way on earth they would introduce a point of contention between two unsuspecting victims by insinuating that the pickup person could be a physical threat to Brock, which further emphasizes my question: why the f was Brock armed for this conversation? So at this point in the video, Lolitha has been shot, begging for her life, while Brock continues to shoot her in cold blood. I mean, what the f? And shortly thereafter, he makes the 911 call.
Well, I shot her in the leg first time, and I shot her in the shoulder.
Why did you do that?
Because I was threatened that she was going to come and kill me. The guy on the phone center here.
Okay. So the male on the phone was trying to get money from you, and she was knocking on the door at the same time?
Yes, and he was telling me he was going to kill me and the family and everybody else around.
Shortly after the...
He told you that he was going to kill you, not that this lady was.
police arrived and Lolitha was transported to a hospital where she eventually passed away from her injuries. But the story continues. Check out this police body cam footage at Brock's house after the incident.
I'm sure glad to see you guys out here because I've been on this phone for a couple hours with this guy trying to save me. Had a nephew in jail and had a wreck in Charleston and just kept hanging on and needing.
If you didn't read that, it says the phone is ringing and it's the scammer calling him.
Needing bond money, and this woman was supposed to. Yeah, figured it.
All right,
I kept getting different names and different stories out of it.
All the reports made a comment about the scammers calling Brock's house phone incessantly while all this was going on, and I believe that 100%. We bait scammers into these confrontations all the time, and one of the few things that remain consistent is the scammers' obsession with dictating every single step and their interminable.
And they call and call and call, and they will not stop. And because they need to know what's going on exactly at every single second.
Calls before, during, and after the exchange to make sure nothing else gets in the way of them and their money. Ironically, the real police picked up that call, where the scammer continues to play the part.
May I ask who I'm talking to?
Yeah, this is the officer speaking.
Okay, what officer?
Yes.
No, I need to know what officer, sir.
You're gonna be in trouble.
Okay. Let me ask you this. The female you sent over here, you know who she is?
Yes, I do.
It's here we can confirm that the scammers are pretending to be law enforcement, which makes sense with the bail money story, but not so much with the family being threatened story. Why would law enforcement be threatening to kill his family if he couldn't produce bail money? It doesn't make any sense. It's all making this gunpoint encounter look a lot worse for William.
It's just things
I really
I'm
think
sure they're
everyone
doing
should
it.
be in therapy? Don't need it. Why do you...
Ads. Gotta love them. But exactly. A law enforcement officer is not going to threaten your family over the phone. They're not going to do it. If they do it, then you need to hang up and call the actual police department saying, I'm talking to Officer so-and-so and he just threatened my family.
Why are we making this video? Haters, you can save your fucking breath. I know exactly what you're going to say, that we're just trying to capitalize on something that we had nothing to do with. And that's fine, you can feel that way. But that literally couldn't be further from the truth. This is why we're making this video. Number one, awareness. It's a word that gets thrown around a lot, but when there's a
Exactly. Ditto for me and my channel.
tragedy involved, a murder, awareness is the only thing that's going to prevent this from happening again. Now, we didn't break this story. This came out a couple weeks ago. All this disturbing video and police reports are public record. But despite all the national news coverage and the inundation of emails from viewers, I was still shocked to see how many people were unaware of this event when I mentioned it on a live stream just a few days ago. But you didn't need us to find out about this. You could have seen it on...
Yeah. Like I said, I live in Ohio. I don't necessarily watch the news, but it wasn't even on Facebook or anything. And I get news on Facebook more than I do on the regular news because I don't watch it. If I do, I don't like it. But why is this not a bigger deal? And that's exactly why we need to be making awareness of this. I've made videos before that people say exactly like this. You're just trying to gain viewers from these people, or you're trying to get gains over someone else's hard times, or on a murder. On a lady's life, you're trying to get these views. That is not the point. Views are great. This is my channel, not his. My channel is not monetized right now. So these views, great. They don't get me anything anywhere. I don't get any money for it. In the future, that'd be great to have a little bit extra cash. But right now, it's not. So please refrain from thinking that. I'm not making this video for this because I'm not going to get paid a cent for this video. And he's making this video because he's trying to spread awareness. And that's why we're here. I'm not trying to get views off of use Trilogy Media's channel to get views and get subscribers. That's a great consequence of this video, but please don't say that I'm doing it because I'm not.
TMZ, CBS, NBC, Fox, all of which have pre-roll ads, by the way. Haters. So either have equal opportunity outrage or just shut the f up. But we're not a news organization. Honestly, it took us a little time to even formulate the words of how to address and even talk about this topic. But if there's anything positive that can come out of this, it's more people knowing about this story and encouraging more people like you who are privy to scam baiting to educate our elders more. Even if you watch scam baiting videos, these types of scams in particular, you hardly ever see videos about. Scams.
This could have been prevented 100%. This murder could have been prevented 100%.
Like these where they're impersonating loved ones.
And it could have been prevented just with a simple phone call. The grandpa calls the old guy calls the nephew or someone in the family, says, hey, so-and-so in jail or not? And there it stopped. Or he calls the actual police department in that area. Simple research could have stopped all of this from happening.
To bait, because they're not typically executed with robocall randomness. For the scam to work, the scammers have to research you and your family members' names and target you specifically. There's no generic phone number or spam email for us scam baiters to engage with. So unless a victim sends it to us mid-scam, we really have no way of engaging with the scammer mid-bait. We need to remind our family members, especially the elderly, that anytime anyone is pressuring you to do anything at all over the phone, stop and ask questions. Ask your loved ones for advice. Research the caller's claims independently. Don't just take their words at face value. And remind them that under no circumstances will any authority or government agency demand personal information or money over the phone. Check out the FTC website for more information about these scams, and I highly recommend that you as a family set a password that only your family members know about. An emergency password that has to be verbalized over the phone before responding or acting upon any urgent requests. Because I can tell you...
Yes. And once again, I keep saying it in most of my videos that they hate it when you ask questions. Literally, the last scammer I've been talking to, he got mad as soon as I asked one question. If I thought for 1 second it was real, if someone loves you, if someone's trying to get you to do things, they don't get mad with you asking questions just to clarify, well, what did he do? Don't ask me this question, you're going to be in trouble. Like you heard the police officer talking to the police officer scammer. You're going to be in trouble. Don't ask questions, do what I say. Think.
These types of scams are going to get 1,000 times worse with AI. With voice cloning and deepfakes, pretty soon we're going to start seeing these same scams executed over FaceTime. Someone pretending to be your loved one to your face. Set up a password, ask questions, and don't let...
Yes. Especially this. They have AI where even if it's not even face-to-face, because scammers are stupid, so it's going to take them a while to figure out how to do that. You've seen in my videos where like they hold a video up to a video and have it on mute and they talk over it. But he's saying like it actually like their face is matching with their mouth movements and what they're saying, and the voice matches. But at least there's going to be a time when you get on the phone and you're going to hear, like, let's say you know me and the scammer's calling my mom. They have my voice. It doesn't sound completely correct, but it sounds good enough to be me. So he is saying that maybe you should have a password so that you know, hey, if I ever call you and say rutabaga, you know that this is legit. Because this is going to be a problem, and this is another reason why we need to have these videos, and I need to do my videos, so people are aware this is happening and this will happen. It's going to get bad, because there's not much that is being done to prevent it, and especially since they're overseas, not much is being done about it, and it's infuriating. But, so that's why we have to prevent it and protect ourselves, and teach our generations before and the generations above us what to do when these happen.
Anybody pressure you. Number 2, you forgot I was counting. Second reason for this video. We want to help Lolitha's family. I spent many hours last week trying to get in touch with Lolitha's family. And while I uncovered all the info I needed and more, I still haven't received any response. I've sent Facebook messages, text messages, and emails to Lolitha's son and 2 close sisters, but no reply as of yet. And that is completely understandable. But I made it very clear in my inquiry that I want nothing from them other than to let them know that we are willing to help if they're willing to accept it. That's it. I did find Lolitha's memorial page and a place to leave condolences, but unfortunately I haven't found a GoFundMe or any fundraiser to donate to that I can verify as legitimate. Lolitha's family is surely getting inundated with inquiries similar to mine, so...
Yeah, so if you... I probably wouldn't have shown this if I knew this was coming up. I didn't see this far in the video. If you want to donate to this family or help them with like a GoFundMe, great. But make sure it's legit. Do your homework. Make sure it's actually going to that family. It's not just someone like me who can just make up a GoFundMe page and say that I'm part of her family. And I've never met the lady or her family. Okay? Be cautious. Use your brain. Do some research. Call the funeral home. If you want to make a direct donation to the family for the funeral, call the funeral home themselves. They will gladly help you either figure out how to make a payment with a credit card on their website, or make it to where you could write a check, or you can even drop off cash. The funeral home will help you make a payment. Trust me, the funeral home will help you give them money, okay? So, and even if you want to give money, because he just showed the funeral home, even if you want to give money directly to the family and you don't care what it goes towards, send it to the funeral home. Say, in care of Lolitha Hall family. And you can send them a card. You can send them payment. If you want to give them money towards the funeral, you can write the check straight to the funeral home. If you want the family to have the money and then they can decide from there, make it to the family of her. Make sure that you're being careful with your money. This is the same thing, because there's going to be people who are going to let this be, especially now that he's made a video about it. There are going to be people who are going to scam you and try to make an account. So just think about it.
Please, as a viewer, do not contribute to that. They're dealing with enough. All I want to say is that if any of Lolitha's family is watching this, and if for any reason you haven't seen my messages, please take a look, and if you feel like responding, I would love to help. Before I end this video with a little tribute to Lolitha and some supportive words from our scam baiting community, I wanted to show you one more thing. We have a video coming out in the near future about a woman named Carol. We met Carol through a sting operation we were doing while she was trying to do a cash package pickup just like Lolitha. But unlike Lolitha, Carol was actively being scammed as well. Scammed so deeply that she's on the verge of losing her house. She arrived to the pickup, scared out of her mind, armed with a loaded and cocked pistol. But instead of anyone harming her at the door, she met us, Trilogy Media. And we were able to intervene immediately and help her get out of this 2-year-long scam that she had been sucked into. Now, this story isn't out yet, but it's coming soon, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, pretty please. But considering the timing...
Check that video out. Oh. Like, I could cry. Just to see these people that, like, literally, once they get their claws in you, they're not gonna let go. They don't care. You could be bawling your eyes out and telling them, I'm losing my house. I can't give you more money. They don't care. They don't care. So please, 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 I'm going to end this video here. He has like a tribute to Lolitha and her family. And like he says some positive words from the community he is in. Please check out this video. Ash, I'm sorry that I gave you this pause screen. Let's try to give you a better one, buddy. A little bit better. Please check out Trilogy Media. Like I said in the past, I do have my thoughts on how they treat people, but you know what? I love the humor of it. And they do, at the end of the day, get the point across, and they are educating people about these scams. So please share this video. Please share my other videos. Please have the Hall family in your prayers, even the Brock family, because this man made one decision that affected lots of people. And a lot of people need to have some prayers and thoughts. Leave me a comment. What is your thoughts about all this? Like, what are your thoughts about the future and these scams taking place, and how is scam going to evolve over time? Because it has to. It has to keep up with everything else that's going on in the world. So let me know what you think. Have a great day, guys. Bye!